Okay, so Kim Zolak is like her dogs. I understand somewhat how this is. Like every time, like her kid is bitten by a dog, like it's one of her dogs. Like, and the people need to come and find out what's going on with her dogs. It's never like an actual thing, like a medical thing. It's always, something Kim wasn't taking care of the dogs. Does she have a lot of enemies? I mean, what was she doing? She was on the Housewives. They look like nice dogs. I mean, oh, that seems pretty. Why would anyone call the dog officer on that? Some people do that in some kind of retaliation. Like it becomes like a thing where they just start calling various reporting officers on people. I don't really believe in that, but I think if like she was taking the dogs to the vet and the vet could tell that she wasn't caring for her dogs, then the vet should say something. And that people shouldn't have to like have all these other things like reporting on it. It makes it tough when veterinarians don't do their job. Matching tattoos. That sounds like reactionary sadism. I usually just ignore those. I'm not discussing Jay-Z and Beyonce. The Diana thing was somewhat interesting. I think most of us knew those things about her, though. Wedding tweets. Let's hope it's not during the actual wedding, or like when most people would think couples would be occupied doing something else and not tweeting right after a wedding, but Watched is on, but it's like the same one that was just on the other night. Oh, I don't think I saw this one. Like this portion of it, I saw the one with the woman with the gargantuan boobs and the lips. Body dysmorphic is sort of like a sad thing to do. Hypochondria and Munchausen by proxy is pretty scary and sad to view too. Manic episodes. People not doing their jobs. Even though he's gonna look kind of weird, but we're gonna put it there and get the best result possible for George. For George's first stage, I'll begin by making a incision down the middle of the sport, lifting up the skin and inserting 2 tissue expanders. I'll gradually inflate the expanders over the next several weeks to stretch your skin, before going back in and removing them, fixing the scar and eye. There we go, let's have a quick look. Underneath our incision, I'll go down there and find where the tissue expanders will go. We want to make sure that
this thing about people that are like sharing their emotions and then they say they regret it. It's like, that's like regretting your own self. I don't know. I mean, it's not a friendship that is. It's obviously not even significant to the other person. He didn't invite you to his wedding, and now you're like backtracking because you were honest about the hurt of that. I mean, I don't know. That it's like sometimes people doing that stuff. It's like if you found out about the wedding on social media, then why not he finds out that you're pissed about it on social media? I mean, like even that's like you're like backtracking on what you thought was wrong, you know? Um, you're being cranky, so what? That's part of your personality. The way that I was doing it with James Franco is I would just apologize after, like, sorry if that, I was inappropriate. I can't even recall the specific things. Like, obviously with him, it's a person that I don't know personally. So it's like, sorry. And if I'm trying to have a friendship with you, then I should, be able to admit that I shouldn't have said something or I shouldn't have said it in that way. I mean, if he wants, the other thing too with this particular thing, this could be a portion of how he's sort of like right about putting it on social media is because now it's like the only reason the guy wants to try to have a communication is because other people think he's a jerk, and it's not because he really wants to be friends with you. I mean, trust me, if he didn't invite you to his wedding, then he doesn't even consider you a friend because people invite. Sometimes, like if your social circle isn't large, they'll invite anyone because it's sort of kind of like embarrassing, like you have no one to invite. Um, I think that doing just like a family wedding, and not inviting friends is probably kind of, that's okay. Um, yeah, like you're inviting like distant cousins and stuff because it's kind of like you don't have a large social circle to invite to a wedding. I think if you want to try to form like a reunion of people, that I don't think a wedding is the appropriate setting for that because it really takes away from the bride. I mean, a wedding is like, in truth, a wedding is like a bride's day in her family and her mother, you know. Um, it's not really like that kind of a social event or like trying to get families reconnected or whatever because it really takes away from her day. That's like the one day in life where you're the center of attention, and you should be like that. Your one day to have that, and I think like people have family reunions or they have cast reunions or they have high school reunions and things for stuff like that. They don't do a wedding as like a means to try to reconnect with people. I don't think that's a good idea. Um, One interesting thing about weddings too, like in the world, where people just spend like globs and globs and globs of money on a wedding, and they never think like a down payment on a house. They It becomes like crazy. Like the ring, and it's got to be like the man's this much of his salary, and then you've got like the dress has got to be like thousands of dollars, and then you got to have like a hall, and you have, you know, ice sculptures, and you have chocolate things, and it kind of like rolls into almost like a compulsive shopping mania, I think, sometimes for people. And like when I was getting married, at first, Al and I were like, well, how about if we just have like a dinner um, after the wedding, and that's it? Like we just have a dinner in a restaurant. And I think it was his family, but I can't really recall. But some family member was like, no, we're not doing that. You have to have like a reception. Um, we had it at a VFW. I mean, we didn't have that kind of money. And I didn't even have an engagement ring because, like I said, I was pregnant. And we had just like simple gold bands. It was not, and we had like people in the family paying for things. It wasn't, you know, I was in college, and he was like just out of college. He may have been working full time at the news channel at that point. Um, but we didn't. We couldn't even qualify for WIC, this to get into another subject, because he was like just over the threshold. He was making like 30,000 or something a year, and like I couldn't even get WIC. Like by us getting married, other than me getting health insurance, it was like we didn't financially gain anything by getting married. It was like a moral thing that I really, really strongly believe in. As stated, that I think that if you're not ready to marry, that you should adopt out, or at least break up. I think that when you're with someone and you're having sexual intercourse and a pregnancy happens, that's the time to decide if you're gonna be married or not. That it's okay to not get married, but I don't think you should continue dating. Um, some people have a lot of difficulty with best interest of the child things. I hope she doesn't wish that we chose adoption. I hope she doesn't think that. I mean, I think at least up until 2011 she was having a pretty good life, and hopefully that's continued and gotten somewhat better, other than obviously losing your primary caretaker and your mother. I think that would have been a really good influence in her life, considering my job and my history. All of the children. I think that in particular, Jessica and I would have had a really good adult relationship when she became an adult, given her history, her previous. Um, Clearly, I think that Michael would have preferred to retain me in his life, given his previous. So, in my mind, it's like I'm really pretty confident that at least most of the children are gonna like get it and really reject all of this happening. Um, like when prophets are gonna go, why the heck would you remove a prophet as our parent from us? You know, I mean, how would you ever feel that that was like in the best interest? And it's pretty clear it wasn't when you purposely foreclosed their home and just all the other things. But um, that's another sort of thing that's, I guess, tragic and is not my doing and not my responsibility. The the Alfred and Angela, we're never going to have a relationship of any kind. I mean, that's pretty clear. There's no way that's ever going to happen. And everything could have worked out fine, even if he decided to continue seeing her if they didn't do what they did. I mean, that's going to be a pretty tough existence right now, in terms of, like, basically being the biggest jerks on the planet. Yeah, that's another thing about recovery. Like, they still have not sent anything here, like a letter apologizing for what they did, and they're still doing. Um, so I think that all of this is ultimately going to result in the children having no kind of relationship with them after this, because they're clearly not in recovery. And just, I think expecting children to overcome that type of violation of them and abuse of them is not going to happen. I mean, could you imagine, who people are calling MLK, all of a sudden being like the realization of everything that's happened here, and having a relationship with them? I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think that situation is almost like a need will arise for him to really get away from them, because I could see him growing into an adulthood, right? And then if the two of them are still, like, in this attitude like they've been in, like, just pounding people to the floor, because people do have a limit, and he's not a woman. So, and he knows how it goes. I mean, you can tell from the speeches that he was being harassed and that people were questioning what he was doing, and then they murdered him. And they murdered his mother then. So it's like, people continuing to do that, and they're around him. I don't think he's going to take too kindly to that. And so it's like, you basically destroyed your own relationship with your own children, instead of embracing just this wondrous event and coming into a fold of people. Is it possible that they still don't believe in quote-unquote reincarnation? I mean, I think in that particular case it should kind of matter, considering that you have at least 2 children that are prophets, and their mother's a prophet, and you do all of this to their mother and them based on said God told her, and over money. You're not going to get like O.J. Simpson, God, trust me, that's not going to happen, because those children have previouses that aren't going to allow that to happen. I mean, did you read Karen Carpenter's wiki? I mean, come on. She's got other previouses besides that, too, trust me. Like, maybe ask a traditional, quote-unquote Asian family, okay, if you purposely destroy children's mother, if that's really acceptable in that culture to be doing that.
There's no way of knowing for sure when you see an implant that's this rough.
Also, once they realize who she is, as I did, it's really not going to be good.
During insertion. All right, let's set this up.
And then also all of these people that won't give us the opportunity to be back together and won't give them an opportunity to get away from them. The type, it's like you're completely destroying what should be like the most joyous moment in human history. And that's not going to be overcome in this cycle. There's no way. That's completely unrealistic. It's been 6.5 years and you're still not doing it. You're still not providing housing. You still like seem to be presenting who am I and who is this and these like reunions, and you're not really getting to the point that you destroyed my family. Like you're just like glossing over it. That's not being enlightened. That's not even coming to truth and coming to book. It's like watching deranged sadist psychopaths sometimes. Talk about narcissism, man. Even people that I don't agree with their lifestyle, I have tried to present their case somewhat and try to get people to sort of, somehow work this out, or like explain to the person why, like someone may not want to have a relationship with them. And like the difference between being homeless and not having anywhere to bring your children. And that would be sort of like a choice, that once the child reaches a certain age and you like say you own your own home, then that child has decided that. But when you keep someone in a room like this and you don't provide housing, it's almost like you're doing it purposely. And for what reason you're doing that, I mean, it borders on what people call evil and malevolent at this point. So I decided not to watch the 60 minutes. That seemed to be the proper thing to do, because I was already getting pretty pissed off. Like, where exactly did this thing come from that some USA mother lion was hiding in a cave? Where did that information come from? And what was this bullcrap after 9/11, where your USA mother lion orchestrated 9/11? Really? Okay, well, you explain to me how USA mother lion orchestrated 9/11.
Let's see what it is. Did you walk around?
And why you have minors that are said to be in this thing that are committing suicide. I mean, it's clear cut to me, based on 6.5 years, what that is. It's very, very, very sick and deranged people just cutting off someone's communications, and they think that they're online, and you start doing psychological things to them. And it's like you're like viewing it in real time, as you said, out of your own mouth, and getting off on that. Like, you're very, very sick people. And then one of you actually went up there like you were going to run to be president of the United States. You were going to lead the military here. Into what? Then you had another one going on late night television, all sexual sadist elation in a disgusting display, how we're all watching Saturday Night Live and how exciting that is. I mean, is it really exciting watching the crucifixion, you wacko? Also, wacko, Nancy Pelosi, if you have something to say to me, then you come here and say it to my face. You don't send FBI agents that could be having brain impairment to come here and be screamed at by me. Okay, wacko? You're completely off the charts. So you're shutting off other people's Facebook for using certain words. That was clear because I viewed one of the videos today. Still can't come out of, doing something that was completely sick and disgusting. Some of them, clearly, because whoever's monitoring these social networks is still stuck in that. And there are people that are still stuck in this very, very sick behavior because it's observed by people that give reports if they can. But when you refuse to get these people housing, they can't give reports. Now, someone told me, and I'm not even going to give you a hint as to who the person is, that they were made homeless because they were doing similar things that a lot of the Anons do, where they were reporting what was going on in a household. And so they were thrown out of there. And then you're not providing to these people housing, and in some cases trying to force them to stay in those households because you're very, very sick in the minds. And then you're like monitoring their things or putting them into fake pages and monitoring that and not doing anything about it. And some of these people are reporting like child abuse. It's like, what are you sitting at a monitor masturbating while you're reading this stuff? It's that sickening. So putting on some person who's saying he made friends with people like that, not in this day, that's for damn sure. You're not going to get that out of me. Okay? The only thing I want to hear from you people is apologies, and that you've somehow come to God, and that you're on your knees and you're asking people to forgive you for what you've done, and to stop sending people here to be yelled at by me. I mean, that's completely and totally heartless. You did that to those people, Nancy. You made them sick like that, okay? And you still have not come to terms with that, and you still have not apologized to all of us for it.